process has begun this past year between the US government, Afghan government, and the Taliban. While talks have taken place in Kabul, Moscow, Doha, and Oslo, a concrete agreement between the parties has not yet been reached. While progress has been made in many areas since the fall of the Taliban, many challenges, including security and corruption, are at critical levels. Many Afghan people perceive the Taliban as a Pakistani government proxy, and the Taliban perceive the Afghan government as a puppet government of the United States, whom they say are occupying the country. The Taliban are demanding that foreign troops withdraw the country before they will stop their attacks. And the United States is demanding that the Taliban stop their attacks and to provide a guarantee that they will no longer use Afghanistan as a sanctuary for terrorists. Given this clash of views, the question is, can sustainable peace be achieved? We will sit down with leading Afghan women from the political, economic, and security sectors and hear their views on the peace process and what they believe the role of Afghan women in society would be if the Taliban were invited back into the government. We will hear the voices of Afghan women leading the way and their vision for the future of the country. Which areas have Afghan women achieved the most success?
I think you name it and you find women there. For example, but the prominent areas I can exemplify is at the decision-making level. There are the women who really are at the legislation level and they pave the way for the women to go forward. The education is the basic need of every child in Afghanistan. Women have shown progress there. And medical field. So there are some prominent fields. We have also security. There we have women who have played the role, and there are many, many more sectors.
We're looking at this past peace process that's been taking place, an effort to have dialogue with the Taliban in order to reach agreements, both from the side of the United States and the Afghan government. And there has been different views on the women's participation in that process. Do you, as an Afghan human rights leader, do you believe that it's possible to achieve peace with the Taliban?
I think better to achieve it with Taliban than not having them, because there are many, many challenges inside Afghanistan. And above all, if Taliban are not given a chance to come and to come in the government, so that the people should have easy accessibility to them and to let them to know them, it's very difficult to keep in this conflict continuing. So better to have them in the government. Yes.
But as now the political scenario on international level has changed, like we can see there is change in the leadership of USA. The interest of Trump administration is different, and the change in political governance of Pakistan has changed. Imran Khan has different political agenda from the previous leaders, and the same on regional economical issues we can see. So now the way is paved in a way that Taliban should come. This is not my choice or your choice or anybody else's choice. This is the choice of international community, and the way is paved in a way that Taliban should become and included in government.
Well, can you trust the Taliban to be part of the government, knowing what they did, not just to Afghan women, but how they govern all the Afghan people at that time, and now they're coming to the peace table? Do you think there is a prospect for peace with them?
I cannot say Taliban is right or government is right, because this is the issue of their power gain, and women has been used as a tool for their political gains. Somebody by killing women, somebody by supporting women.
With the possibility, because it's very complex, the peace issue of Afghanistan and the whole political issues, and especially the fight that's being fought in Afghanistan, that it's so complex, and it's not just Afghans, and it's not about us. It's not about Afghans to really get along with each other. It's more of the international community and some of our neighbors who are involved in this in this issue. So it makes it really difficult to say whether it's possible or not. But we are very optimistic about the improvement of the situation, especially because we see that some of the current leaders, they are very committed to give Afghans a better life and in a peaceful and security situation, especially with dignity, which is very important for us, and with a lot of conditions that we want.
When we were talking with Taliban Shura that why women are not included in peace talks, and they were saying nobody has proposed women delegates, and that's why we had no objection. If there is women, we don't have any objections.
Do you feel, everything you've seen in Afghanistan, do you feel that trying to bring peace with the Taliban, do you feel that it would give up the gains that have been made in women's rights in Afghanistan?
Peace is one of the major desires of each Afghan. I think the Taliban will not ever accept working with women in the government. That's when women will lose the achievements they gained if the Taliban take part in the government. Women are in a very better situation as compared to the Taliban era in their appearance and obtaining their rights, and the Taliban will not tolerate and accept that.
So let's go to the last topic, which is the engagement of the United States. The United States has spent, as you know, billions of dollars in Afghanistan, the majority of it sometimes in military spending that has not really gotten to the Afghan people, but some of it to these programs, perhaps in the departments you're working in, to help build the capacity of the Afghan National Police and the Army. This has been a priority for the U.S. Do you believe their programs have been effective?
As I focused, peace is a necessity at this stage, when the whole world cannot ignore women's part in society. Women are equal human beings as men, having the same rights. The developed nations in this modern era have achieved their present prestige by applying the same rights for both men and women.
You both graduated with your master's degrees. You're both going to be working in leadership positions. Do you see a vision for a positive future, for more progress for Afghan women in law enforcement?
Women's improvement in the social, economic, and cultural areas were significant within the recent past years. Families' views on women working and studying outside of the home have changed, and the females are now allowed and persuaded by their families in this regard. Women are now more interested to join the police since the Ministry of Women Affairs has paved the way for women in capacity development programs. Women join the police and attend trainings both inside and outside the country, which helps with their professional effectiveness and qualifies them for the job.
I believe that the international politics will make them to alter some of their own demands, and they have to accept the need and the demand of the today's.
But haven't the Taliban been very consistent with their positions over the years, and would they become a reformed Taliban?
I believe yes. What we were knowing about them in the 90s is now totally different. Now they are the Taliban who are speaking with the women. An inter-Afghan dialogue we have just recently noticed in Doha. So, and even last time they represented their women delegation to be able to speak to the women delegation from Afghan government. They are reformed. We are noticing.
And isn't that the key issue though? Because you may have remembered time living here under the rule of the Taliban. Do you fear that if they're included back in the government that they will go back to imposing some of those same restrictions on women?
And especially for us as women business owners, we really fear it because for us everything is movement. And if we have restrictions on movement, and if we have restrictions such as having someone to accompany us to somewhere, that will really restrict a lot of our activities. So for example, right now We know many women who travel from, for example, some of the Kabul districts or some of the far places in Kabul to the main city to buy their raw material and go in, they produce, and then they bring it back and deliver it to some of the shops or some of their buyers. And if they have that kind of restriction, you can imagine they won't be able to really make that living that they make today. And also, one of the things that we have to remember that throughout the history of Afghanistan, women did not have to change their identity in order to make a living, and it was only during the Taliban when girls had to change their identity as boys in order to make a living for their families.
But it is a big question mark for all of us that how will be the future coalition government, what will be the role of Taliban in it, what will be the role of current government, what will be the role of other political parties. That time when I heard the news that there will be attack in Afghanistan 18 years back, that time I was living in Pakistan. Then I wrote a letter to the news, to New York Times, under title of The Voice of Daughter of Afghan. So I was requesting USA to not attack Afghanistan. Lots of innocent people will be killed. Instead, talk with Taliban. That time I was very young, and that time I hadn't that political maturity that today I have. But now I can see the same situation. Now we are going for negotiation after killing a huge number of people. How many people are affected by this war, by this conflict? It's very difficult to say the number. At least we have more than 2 million people who are affected in a way or other way from these wars. But we have to stop the war in any way. We are in need of peace. So my message to international community, to USA especially, is that we know that you are going to withdraw, but please withdraw with the responsibility. This withdrawal should be responsible withdrawal. It shouldn't be only the issue of election in USA. It should not be an immediate action which cause lots of losses, future civil war. It will cause future civil war. So that's why we are asking for responsible, gradual withdrawal. The news we were saying that a huge amount of money is considered for Taliban reintegration, training, and capacity building. I hope that money should be used in a positive way. The way that so far the money has wasted in corruption, I hope that money is not going to be wasted in corruption. It should be in a positive way, that we should have solid achievements.
Meeting these courageous Afghan women leading the way has highlighted the great progress that has been made in this country after the fall of the Taliban. Their voices have been strong, and the impact of their work has helped to change the course of the ability of Afghan women to participate in all sectors in the country. These women leaders have not just talked about bringing change, but have worked to bring positive change, even given challenges with security, corruption, lack of funding, and cultural restrictions. What has resonated from their message is that the Afghan people want an end to the war. They realize the high cost of war, as they have all lost someone in their family to conflict. The problem is not just the Taliban, but unacceptable levels of corruption in the Afghan government and support for corrupt leaders by the international community. In order to bring sustainable peace, women's participation must not be reduced, and development assistance must be improved and monitored. The voices of these women leading the way have spoken that there has been progress and hope for lasting peace. Such peace can be lasting when there's education and economic development, so that the cycle of conflict can be stopped once and for all.